It's back to school time. If you want to have a student who is well prepared and ready to have a successful year, here are some tips and tricks order, in no particular order, on how your child can have a successful school year. You want to make sure that your child is getting an adequate amount of sleep. You want to make sure that your child is having a routine bedtime. I suggest for elementary age students like around 8:30, for middle school around 9:30, and for high school no later than 10 o'clock p.m. This gives your child ample time to get plenty of sleep. You want to make sure for the younger babies they're getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. For the older babies, middle school age and high school babies, at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So making sure that they have a routine and a structured bedtime every night will guarantee that they'll have a smoother wake up and a smoother school year. If you live with other people, you want to make sure that your child has their own space to be able to relax and unwind for the night. If you live by yourself and your children are blessed to have their own room or their own space, same thing. You want to create a bedtime environment. Make sure they're taking a bath. Make sure they're relaxed. Pretty much turn off everything at night. Deactivate everything, turn it off, make sure it's dark. If they need a night light, that's okay, but you want to create a sleep environment for your child. So just turning off all distractions, making sure that they have a safe place to sleep, a comfortable place to sleep, clean blankets, clean pillows, clean sheets. People underestimate that for young children. Connection definitely matters between you and your child, so it's important that you set a nighttime routine where maybe you guys are praying together, drinking tea, reading a book, you're taking a bath with them, playing with them, and you know what I mean, setting the mood for them to have a good night, easing their mind of fears and worries, easing their mind of any problems that they may carry as a child. Children go through a lot, so just making sure that you create that safe space, create that relaxing space so they can have a good night's sleep. Waking your children up in the morning is going to set the tone for their entire day. So if you're screaming, if you're yelling, if you are frazzled because you're overwhelmed and you have a lot of children to get ready, imagine how a little baby feels. You yelling at them, making them do all these things. So as a parent, it's good to be prepared and set that tone in the morning. Make sure they have a healthy breakfast. Breakfast is essential for them to be able to think. You want to give them a well-prepared breakfast. Look at that food chart, you know what I'm saying? You want to give them a good start. Set the tone for a good day. Even if you're frustrated, remember that they're a child. They probably overstimulated. And once again, adjust that bedtime if they're not waking up in the morning. So it's just, your child. Nobody knows your child better than you. So just giving them a routine and being a pleasant person in the morning. Encouraging. Giving them affirmations. Setting the tone so the day will go smooth. As far as the routine after school, that's also important. You want to make sure you're checking backpacks for notes from the teacher to you, permission slips, anything that needs to be signed, anything that needs to be purchased. You want to make sure when your children come home, they have plenty of snacks. I would suggest meal prepping, and I'm saying this because I grew up in a household where our meals were prepared a week in advance. Those things cut out so much time from my parents having 6 children in a household. Just having snacks, having everything structured. The school days should pretty much be focused around that. School, they can have, tablet time or electronic time, but limit that as well. Make sure that your children are focused on school, not distracted by other things. Let them have the weekends. You want to make sure that every day after school, no matter the age of your child, that they're doing some type of chore, cleaning up after themselves, cleaning out, cleaning off the table, sweeping the floor, mopping, not everything, but age-appropriate things, so that when the weekend comes, they're building up to having that be free for them. If your children have to get disciplined at school or disciplined during the week, you know what I mean, then of course adjust their weekend according to that. But teaching your children accountability as soon as possible will help them be better adults and better prepared to adjust into the real world. Keeping your house clean and organized will prepare your week so much. Like I said, young babies can start learning how to pick up after themselves. It's not for you to be no slave to no children, but your children, cleaning, cooking, laundry, those things are life skills that your child has to learn anyways. So the sooner you teach them, the better, because the older they get, they'll be able to be more independent. A lot of our youth are aging very quickly. They're growing and developing a lot. So these elementary school kids be musty. They be a little funky. So just making sure that your child has their hygiene, smell good things that make them feel good, scents that make them smell good, your sons and daughters. Making sure that your baby girl hair is done once a week. Or if she's older, give her a style that lasts, Making sure that your son's hair is cut or his hair is, however his hair is done, that it's maintained. That they look clean, presentable. Because when you look good, you feel good and you show up. You want to make sure your child that you're pouring into them. If you can't afford nails, you can't afford things like that, you want to learn it, you know what I mean? Give them the supplies they need to learn it themselves. Like I said, it's a skill. Maintaining their appearance is a skill that they have to learn for life, showing up in the real world. But making sure they feel good, making sure they smell good, making sure that you're taking care of everything, their mental needs, their physical needs, their emotional needs, and seeing how you can support them as their parent. Something that's very important, especially for the Black community: attendance. Making sure your child shows up. Excuses are only good enough for the person making them. As their parents, you advocate for them. So making sure your child shows up, making sure you have a relationship with your child's teacher or teachers, making sure that you check in at least once a week or once every couple of weeks to see how they're doing. You have to be on top of it. It's hundreds and hundreds of children at that school, and ain't nobody going to be focused on your child if you're not focused on your child. Nobody's going to pour into your child like you pour into your child. You're your child's greatest ally. You're your child's biggest advocate. So making sure that you collaborate with the teacher, because to put all that responsibility on the teacher to teach your child everything they need to know, and I think that that's, somebody that has hundreds and hundreds of students themselves, as a parent, the biggest thing and the greatest thing you can be is an advocate for your child. Support your child all the way from pre-K all the way through college. Whatever you can do as their parent to make sure that their needs are met educationally. At least once a week, call a family meeting for your children, just so you can check in with them mentally, emotionally, psychologically and spiritually. It can be hard for a young child, socially, academically, peer pressure, impact, influence, social media. This is the age that they're growing up, comparing bodies to one another, comparing looks to one another, comparing everything about themselves to one another. So you want to make sure as a parent that you're checking in with your child. How are you feeling? Are you struggling with anything in school? Are you struggling with anything personally? Let them know that you're here. Always show up for them. Remember, if they close the door and it seems like they got an attitude and they're trying to shut you out, it's your responsibility and your duty as their parent to always get down to the bottom of things. Don't shut them out. Don't Make sure that you're showing up for them and showing them that I care. No matter how old you get, from pre-K all the way to college, that I'm here and I care and I'm your parent for life. And one last thing, especially in Black families. Yes, good grades are admirable, but it's not what they're supposed to do. Think about Black children and even how they are treated in the classroom sometimes, especially our boys. Think about all the things, all the powers that be that tell them that they're not worthy. If you have a Black child that shows up and they show out, despite sometimes how you may parent, and there's no manual, but celebrate that baby. Celebrate that child, because not all children are created equal. They may struggle. They may have learning disabilities, but if you see your child trying, no matter what, celebrate that. Because a lot of times parents, they love to brag on the best, but the worst they don't want to deal with. So when it comes to your child, celebrate all their small wins. Celebrate that certificate. Celebrate that achievement. Celebrate the little things that they do. Celebrate that improvement, so your child can want to do more. They're going to want to impress you. They're going to want to put forth their best foot forward. So show up to those ceremonies. Let's have a good school year, family. They got this, and you got this.
Message.